FM station WDWL TV, broadcasting from Studio A on Grumpy Old Man Road. It's the Grumpy Old Man, me, and the Grumpy Vulture Show. Take your bow. Okay, look at the camera, both eyes, there you go. Interesting day today. Very interesting day. And it goes to show how these big corporations are coming up with any excuse in the book. And I'll go on with this shortly. Like I told you yesterday, I needed to get 6 bolts for my Toyota fuel pump. So I go up to my local hardware store that I always get my bolts and nuts and screws from. And I walked in, and much to my amazement, who's standing in the entranceway but little Miss Perky, safety pins. So she walks up to me and she says, "Can I help you?" And I took out my little bag and I said, "I need some bolts like this." And she looked me right in the eye and went, "No bolts." Before I could say anything, because she knows I'm going to say something, she motions me, "Come here, come here." So I followed her, and she pointed down the bolt aisle. The fucking aisle was empty from one end to the other, from the floor to the top. Not one piece of merchandise. Nothing. And I turned to her and I said, "What's going on?" And I thought she was going to fucking cry. She said, "Saturday's our last day. We're closing." I said, "What?" I said, "This hardware store's been here 50 fucking years." She says, "Well, we're not making enough profit." So I said, "Oh, okay, sorry to hear that, sweetheart. I'm going to miss you." I said, "You got any prospects?" And she says, "No, they are going to pay us for a bit, but after that, I don't know." I said, "Well, I hope to see you again." So as I was walking out, I said to the cashier, I said, "This store has been here 50 years. And they're saying you're not making enough profit?" She says, "Yeah. The North Olmsted store, get this, has a 2% better profit rating than this store. Over 2%, doors closed, Saturday, done, quit, finished." Now, here's more people out of fucking work. Here's another hardware store gone because, Homeless Depot is putting all these places out of business. And another empty building because at the cost of rents, I don't foresee anybody running in there to rent that big store and go, "Oh, we're going to open a business." Shopping plazas are turning into fucking ghost towns. This is number 3. The 2 I shop at regularly, only half of the plaza has tenants. It's getting ridiculous. And to make matters worse, Toyota didn't have the goddamn bolts either. I says to the guy, "What?" He said, well, after 1999, they went to a completely different redesign on the fuel tank. They're no longer using that size bolt. Try your local hardware store. Oh, I wanted to jump through the phone and strangle his fucking ass. I said, why do you think I'm calling you? You're going to be 3 times more expensive than my local hardware store, who is going out of business. And then the parts guy couldn't even tell me what size they were. Oh, we don't even have a listing for them anymore. They couldn't tell me up at the hardware store because all the sizing racks are gone. So now I have to... And goddamn Homeless Depot has gone from loose bolts and nuts to fucking blister packs. Everything's going to a blister pack. If I don't know the size of the fucking bolt, how am I going to know what I'm going to buy in that? If you don't know what you're going in for, how are you going to pick? It's getting goddamn ridiculous. My auto manual doesn't have the size of the bolts. My Chilton's manual doesn't have the size of the bolts. And I couldn't get the size online. The only way to determine it is by a sizing racks that they have in the hardware stores. So now I have to try to find a hardware store in my area because I'm not driving 50 miles away to find out the size of a bolt, or just to alleviate the aggravation, drill new holes and put in self-tappers, which I have a can full. But I didn't want to risk possibly getting metal shavings in the tank. But I think that's my course of action. Just drill new holes, put double the sealer on the plate, put it down, and maybe finger tight run the old shitty bolts in, just enough to fill the hole. But yeah, 50 years that hardware store has been in that plaza. And it was interesting because there were 2 other customers that came in behind me. And they all said the same thing. We don't like Homeless Depot. As a matter of fact, one of the guys came in for bolts. And he said, here, you had a sizing rack. He goes, I don't know what size this bolt is. I pulled out my plastic bag and said, well, join the club. I don't know the size of mine either, but take a look at the bolt dial, buddy. He walked over and he went, holy shit, where's the merchandise? And little Miss Perky, who was recovering from me, almost started to cry again and said, oh, Saturday's our last day. We won't have jobs. We're closing. And more people out of work. How many people are we going to put out of work in this nation? It's bad enough, self-checkout, robots. How many people were put out of work by a robot? The girl at the cash register was telling me her aunt worked for a bakery. 2 years before her retirement, robotics were installed in the bakery. and 80% of the employees were put out of work. People, we can't be a welfare nation. We were once one of the strongest nations on earth. Now robots, self-checkout, it's all putting people out of work. And the bottom line, you know, most places didn't get closed up if there was like a 10% profit difference between stores. Now, 2? That's getting pretty fucking petty. But I've noticed in the last 6 months, I haven't received a sale ad from this store. The corporation puts out the sale ads, not the store. I haven't had one. There was a hint 6 months ago that some shit was in the works, because I was getting sale ads monthly. Now, the first 2 months I didn't pay much attention. The third month I was like, gee, I haven't seen a sale ad from the hardware store. And then never got one after. Now, if you don't put out a sale ad, you're not going to bring customers in. Kind of dirty pool there, corporate. So now the neighborhood loses another local hardware store. You know, it's sad. There used to be mom and pop stores everywhere. Now the mom and pops can't survive. We have one little mom and pop hardware store. I don't know how they're hanging on. I really don't. The big box stores are putting everybody out of business. And like I say, at one time, the homeless depot had loose bolts, nuts, screws. They did away with it. Oh, too much theft. And everything went to blister packs. When they went to blister packs, there was no need for bolt sizing racks. So unless you know exactly what you need, you're screwed. Of course, the one day the guy at Home Depot said, well, you know, you can go online and buy them. Why do I need to buy bolt sizing racks? I'm not sizing bolts every day of the week, pal. But that's what it's coming to. You buy your own rack, you size your own bolt, then you go to Homeless Depot and pick up what you need. Instead of walking in like me and going, I need 6 of these bolts. And the guy walks over and goes, this one here, right here. Yeah, okay. Nope. You know, I made the joke to the girl trying to lighten the humor at the hardware store. And I says, you know, it's going to come down the line where you're going to walk into Homeless Depot and they're going to hand you a cart full of merchandise and say, hey, before you shop, put this merchandise up. And she agreed. She goes, yeah, it's coming to that. Yeah. You'll walk in, they'll hand you a box. When you're done putting this merchandise up, you can shop. I actually had planned on a little lighter chat for tonight. And then I got aggravated. I don't know if the aggravation is the store closing or losing Miss Perky. She was entertaining. Especially with the clothespins.
Safety pins?
No. Clothespins. And then she walks over to the old senior in the corner and goes, I have a customer here that he don't know what he wants. And the old guy was like, well, what does he want? She's like, well, he keeps saying clothespins, but I know he wants safety pins. And the old guy went, nah, come in. I'll show you what clothespins are, sweetie. And then she stared at him all the way to the cash register. That's what I loved. She was like she'd seen a ghost, you know. And then she went home after work and told her BFF Coven, oh my God, we actually had these wooden things they called clothespins. I'll ask Siri to bring up a picture.
Siri, I need a picture of clothespins.
And then Siri brings up a picture, and the whole coven of BFFs go, wow. Can we see them for real? And little Miss Perky's like,
come in my store. We have a whole rack full.
And then one day during the week, the whole coven of BFFs converge on the store to look at clothespins. There won't be no more of that. God. I think between now and Saturday, I'm going to stop up and I'm going to tell her, please, tell me where you're going to work. When you find a job, tell me where it's at. I hope it's in retail. So that I can irritate the shit out of you. And get some of that typical perkiness when I ask for clothespins.
Safety pins?
Yeah. I'll miss that. Oh, God, I got to find out where she's at. If she works in retail, I got to find out where she's at. Just for the entertainment. And then I could tell her boss the story about clothespins. I think her future employer would enjoy that story. About as much as all my friends do when I tell it. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm meeting some of my dear friends that I've known since grade school for lunch. They're taking me out for my birthday. I'm going to tell them the clothespin story. They'll love it. Too bad I didn't take a picture of Miss Perky. It would even enhance the story. Here she is. Yeah, I'm going to miss that. I got to find out where she's going to work. I'm going to tell her, please, wherever you go to work, let me know where you're at. Fingers crossed it's retail. I'd hate to see her work in a restaurant. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that to her in a restaurant. No. Only in a store. Not in a restaurant. No. McDonald's, maybe. I don't think she'll go to a McDonald's. She's been in hardware too long. I hope she well, God, she'd probably end up at the homeless depot or Lowe's. And I hate both them stores. But I'd go just to see her. And hopefully she isn't working like in drapes or linens, a department that I have no use for. She needs to work in tools or hardware. She worked in tools. Oh, I could really get her. Tell her I'm looking for a left-handed monkey wrench. That'd throw her. She's like, we got a right hand. I don't think we have a left-handed one. Oh, God, I haven't used that in ages. I need a left-handed monkey wrench. And a big can of blinker fluid. My left blinker quit working. I think I'm low on blinker fluid. And I need some... Oh, no. I won't use the Johnson rod on her, no. I think the blinker fluid would confuse her enough. She'd be over in the fluid aisle going, oh, my God, blinker fluid. Then I could see her asking her supervisor. The man up front needs some blinker fluid. I can't find it. Her boss would lose it right there. Blinker fluid? There's no such thing. Then she'd come back and tell me, my boss said there's no such thing. Well, come out to my car. My left blinker ain't working. It's low on blinker fluid. Haven't used that one in years. Yeah. I hope she ends up in retail at a hardware store. That's where I could have the most fun with her. Especially if she goes like to Homeless Depot or Lowe's, because she won't be that familiar with the store for a while. So I could really give her a zinger. Have some fun with Miss Perky. I can't use the clothespins anymore. Yeah, it's sad. All them people out of jobs. Oh, big deal. We're going to give you some severance. Ain't going to give them no years worth of severance. Maybe a month, 2 months. I even asked the cashier, is there a possibility of transferring to another store? She goes, well, yeah, but I don't want to go to Toledo. I said, oh, jeez. I said, that's the closest store? She goes, well, Toledo or Medina. I said, well, Medina'd be a little closer. But even so, who wants to drive, 30 miles one way to work? Gasoline ain't cheap. Yeah, it's sad. All these stores closing up. Rents are so goddamn high, people don't want to rent buildings. Like I say, the two plazas that I deal with, 50% empty. They even took and subdivided the one large store into 3 smaller ones, and they still can't get anybody to rent. It amazes me the smaller stores that are in there are still there. There's a cell phone shop in the one. I don't know how it's surviving. I drive by, I never see a customer in the place. I don't know. But it really breaks my heart after 50 years losing that hardware store. Oh, our bottom line. Well, if you don't have sale flyers going to your customers, unless they really need something. There's been times I really haven't needed anything. I looked at a sale flyer and went, wow, look at the price on that. I'm going to go get one. And then I go up there, and 9 times out of 10, I go in for one item and come out with 6. You got to get people in the building. It ain't rocket science. Like the movie. If they build it, they'll come. Well, if you advertise, they'll come. Once you get people in the store, a lot of them are like me. Oh, gee, while I'm here, I need this, and I need this, and some of that. Increases the sale. But no. You stop sending out flyers, then you say, oh, the store isn't profitable. Asshole corporations. So tomorrow I'll be drilling holes for my self-tappers because I can't get the bolts. But, it's not like I'm holding the lid on top of a boiler. All it is a plate to hold the fuel pump down. I'll just put a little extra sealer on it. But it sucks. I really wanted... I got a blister in my hand getting them 6 bolts out. I would have liked to put new ones back in and at least made an excuse for the blister. But no. So, I already checked. I got a can. Matter of fact, I brought one in so I could get the right drill bit. Yeah, self-tappers. Right there. We got a whole can full of these. They're just a little bit bigger. They'll work. Like I say, I'm not capping down the top of a boiler. It's just 6 screws to hold the plate down for the fuel pump. That's it. At least if I could have got the bolts, it would have made the blister feel better. I didn't do it in vain, Where's you trying to hide my lighter? I got my eye on you. I got zip ties for you, too. Yeah, now what I do is I bring them in with me every day. And then when I leave the studio at night, I take them home. Otherwise, asshole here hides them. I still can't find... The ones that were in the storeroom, he moved them. After I found his hiding place. And after I made 2 new ones. That's okay, keep them hidden. I got new ones. And I have a whole lot more zip ties. Oh, speaking of zip ties, I forgot to bring that 6-footer in. I'll bring it in tomorrow. Yes. 6-foot long zip tie. I still haven't figured out what to use it for, but it's 6 foot long. I'll bring it in. I'll show you one. Maybe for the beak of a prehistoric bird, one of his relatives. God, if you need a 6-foot zip tie, I don't want to see the beak on that bird. a pterodactyl or something like that. What you're derived from, one of your ancestors. You know, it's scary to think animals and birds that big walked through your neighborhood at one time or flew overhead. And when they built the freeway, I-71, you know, they had to dig down like 30 feet, and they found out that this area at one time was a prehistoric lake. Oh, I remember some of the fossils that they took out. Because once they hit shale, they kind of stopped digging in that stretch. And they called in the Historical Society, and the anthropologists started digging. Because shale is a sign of prehistoric areas. And I happened to go back one day and watch them. And they were gently lifting layers of the shale. And they found this goddamn fish that was about this big around. I was like, holy shit. That swam in this area? He goes, oh yeah. He said this whole area was a prehistoric lake at one time. Which meant some of them big dinosaurs were traipsing through here because they needed a drink of water now and then. Unbelievable. Matter of fact, some of the fossils they took out of here are at the museum. They cleaned them all up. Some ugly looking fish, I'll tell you that. Holy shit. I wouldn't want to be a goddamn prehistoric fisherman back in that day. Pretty bad when you catch a fish that will eat you. Oh, they were ugly. And large. Very large. And the one anthropologist told me, he goes, this one ain't even full grown. I said, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He goes, oh no, this is a youngster here. It was about the size of me. A youngster. Oh yeah, this is a minnow. Ah! But it was cool to know what was here 65 million years ago. Yeah, this whole neighborhood here was a prehistoric lake at one time. I tell people that and they're like, ah, Grumpy, you're full of shit. No, go to the museum. All the fossils they took from that area, state, the street at West 130th and I-71 freeway dig. Go check it out at the National Historical Society. Yeah. All the fossils they took out of that dig are over in a special room for people in this neighborhood to go, wow, look what was in our neighborhood. Matter of fact, in someone's backyard at one time. And then the freeway come through and eliminated all the backyards. Yeah, I watched them dig the freeway. That's how fucking old I am. They literally dug I-71 a stone's throw from where I grew up. I used to go over every single day and watch the earth movers dig down and down and down and down. Quite a learning experience for a youngster. And then, when they poured the first lane of the freeway, I was the first one on it with my go-kart. Until the police chased me. Well, I got the fuck out of there in a hurry. Yeah, I used to run my go-kart up and down the fresh, well, not the fresh cement, but the newly cemented lane. Was kind of learning history when I really didn't like history. But I had some tales to tell in school. Oh, you should have seen the history I learned today. Yeah, we were a prehistoric lake. Kind of cool. I wanted a fossil. They wouldn't give me one. I was like, what about that little tiny thing? No. Dig your own. Well, can I come in there? No. Well, how am I going to dig my own? And then they had that whole area guarded by security. When they left for the night, they had security keeping our asses out so we wouldn't go in and fuck with the fossils. So I never did get one. But they let us watch, which was cool. They lifted one piece of shale, and here was this big skeleton of a fish. And the guy had this little tiny pick, and he was picking away. Then they took that whole fish and put it on a pallet. And then took it to the museum to clean up even better. The minnow. That was as big as me. I would have loved to have seen it full grown from a distance. Like I say, it's pretty bad when you catch a fish that can eat you. Now I know if you catch a shark and you fall in the water, it'll bite you, but this thing could have swallowed you in one gulp. Maybe that's where 7-Eleven got the big gulp from. I know, cheap, shitty humor. I'm not planning on doing a stand-up, believe me. Well, we've gone almost 40 minutes without a warning or a shutdown. Maybe the bug fixes did work. But I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to amp up my time a little bit every night. I'm not going to try for a full hour. So far, so good. Watch now, I just jinxed myself. There'll be a big red warning and I'll disappear again. Oh, I got to move the camera a little bit. I got some more gas signs. Look at that one. Signal gas. Like I say, they had some neat companies back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Signal gas. That was an actual gasoline company. And then we got Husky and Flying A. Let me see if I can move the camera a little bit so we can see Flying A. There. Flying A gasoline and Husky. And then the new one, Signal Gas. And I got another Polygas coming, and they're American gasoline. All these are real companies from back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Yeah, of course, Sinclair was a big one at one time. Yeah, we had a Sinclair gasoline up the street. And for Christmas, they would sell Sinclair. I don't know why they did it at Christmas. Beach Toys. A blow-up dinosaur. Yeah, you could get a blow-up dinosaur at Sinclair. And the gas station was full of them. And then Sinclair went out of business here, like Texaco. God, Texaco used to be big here. We lost Texaco, Texaco, Sinclair, Atlantic Richfield, Gulf. Mobile is disappearing. All these crummy independents are coming in now. Yeah, the one up the street from me was a Sunoco. That's another one that's disappearing around here. Now it's called Race Fuel. They sell normal gasoline. It's just called Race Fuel. And then the one next door, which used to be in Atlantic Richfield, is now a Pioneer. All independents. The big company stations are disappearing. Although, today, I went and filled up with Shell. Oh, the Nissan isn't going to know how to run. Shell gas. And it was cheap. And what I like about Shell, the price on the sign is the price you pay. Not like a lot of these independents. The price on the sign is for cash. If you use a credit card, it's 30 cents a gallon more. Yeah, big sign says $2.93 a gallon. And the little itty-bitty letters that you can hardly see. Cash price. I went to Shell. What was on the sign was what I paid. That and BP. As much as I don't care for BP gas because I get shitty mileage, at least I know when I go in the station what I'm paying a gallon. Not the surprise at the pump. When you turn the pump on and go, holy yutcha-fuck, this gas is 30 cents a more. Yeah. And I tell everybody, I got to use my debit card. I have direct deposit. I'm not going to the ATM to take out gas money. So you're penalized. I hate that shit. So now it's going to be BP and Shell. Because at least I'll know what I'm paying. And with that, I think I'm going to... Oh, no! That phishing software... Oh, I thought I got rid of that. Jesus. No, I don't want your anti-phishing software. Oh, it's embedded somewhere in that hard drive. Oh, well. I will chat with you tomorrow with a new story. Since little Miss Perky is going to be out of a job. Damn it. See ya.